On the verge of ending my life just after D-Day, I turned my life around. Janine, my wayward wife, and I were together for 6 years and married in December of 2019. I was committed to rebuilding my business after a vicious and nasty divorce battle that lasted for 7 years with my first wife of 20 years. Throughout 2019, I was so engulfed with the business and stresses of the aftermath of the property disputes with my first wife. I had become obese at 112 kilograms and 165 centimeters height. In September of 2019, I booked a holiday for Janine and I to go to Thailand, Rome, and then Istanbul as our final destination. Whilst in Istanbul, the inevitable happened and I suffered a minor stroke. Janine acted quickly. I ended up in hospital, and after blood tests, the doctor gave me an absolute tongue lashing. "You're lucky to be alive. With what you've eaten, you could have fed a whole third world country," he said. It was then I learned I had type 2 diabetes, 276 milligrams divided by DL, high cholesterol 8.9 mmol/liter, and blood pressure of 170/90. "You're a walking lollipop covered in fat and batter," the doctor said whilst continuing to berate me. I also had a tear in the aortic valve of my heart, and the hospital could not operate until my sugar levels were brought back to moderate levels. After returning back home, I then started to lose my eyesight as a direct result of the extreme diabetes levels. Janine was genuinely stressed and was determined to assist me with my recovery and weight loss regime. Janine walked every night with me, drastically changed my diet, and joined the local gym with me as a show of her continued support. By December of that same year, my weight had come down to 93 kilograms and we then married. So far, Janine sounds like the perfect woman, right? 2020, the COVID pandemic hit, and my business had a drop of 70% in revenue. During lockdown, I commenced extensive renovations to the offices, all of which I did myself to save on labor costs. Janine, for most part, was with me helping with the renovations and continued to manage skeleton rostering and daily office duties. June 18th was D-Day. Just prior, I had gut-wrenching emotions of which I put down to stress of trying to keep my business viable during the lockdown and drastic reduction in revenue. The bank froze my financial repayment commitments as I previously never defaulted with any of my repayment obligations. I noticed that Janine was spending a lot of time with one particular employee of mine, but honestly never suspected any wrongdoing. He would always be lurking around her office, which was no more than 10 meters away from mine, and suspicion in my mind became overwhelming. My suspicion was compounded by the fact I had sacked this employee early January, and Janine was adamant to re-employ him in mid-February. One late afternoon, the thought of foul play in my mind was compelling, so I walked over to Janine, who was downstairs doing final touch-ups on our renovation works, and directly asked the dreaded question, "What is going on with you and Nas?" "AP, what do you mean? What can be going on?" She calmly replies, "Give me your phone," I demand, and she passes it over without hesitation. I immediately noticed that all messages to my employee Nas AP were deleted, but other messages to other employees were not. I asked why messages to Nas AP in particular were deleted, to which she calmly replies, "I delete all the older messages with everyone." I took her phone back into my office and very quickly determined that that was lie. No other messages on WhatsApp to any other employee had been deleted. I then messaged Nas on WhatsApp pretending to be Janine. I decided to throw shit on the wall to see if any of it stuck. "Nas, my phone went down and I can't recover the photos I sent you," I wrote. "I can see Nas AP now online on WhatsApp but not responding." Now, Nas AP is not the sharpest tool in the shed and borderline autistic due to his parents being first cousins. No reply. "Nas," I persisted, "can you resend me the photos I sent, as I can't fully recover my phone?" Online. No reply. Now you're probably thinking what I was at that time. If there are no photos sent, his immediate reply would be to ask which photos. I then called him from Janine's phone. "I know everything, you motherfucker," I blurted. "Come to the office now to see me." Reluctantly, he eventually did come with his brother. In my mind, if there was nothing going on, his immediate reply would be that it's out of work hours and whatever is the issue he can sort out the following morning. As soon as he came in, I led him to the upstairs boardroom. "Give me your phone," I demanded. "Ivan, there's nothing going on with me and your wife," he pleaded. "I didn't ask if anything was going on with you and my wife," I replied. He confidently handed me his phone, unlocked, and I immediately went into his WhatsApp. Sure enough, all messages between him and Janine were deleted, but no other of his contacts' messages were deleted. "Get out," I demanded. "You know I won't let this rest," I threatened. The next 4 days and nights I continually interrogated Janine. Both of us without sleep or food, she finally admitted to meeting with Nas AP in mid-January after I had sacked him and ended up kissing in the car. 6 weeks after we were married. She then admitted to meeting up again in March and giving him oral. I was devastated, distraught, and completely heartbroken. I drove to the AP's house and made Janine tell the AP's wife who had just given birth to their first. I then threw her out and put her on the next available flight back to Spain where her family resided. During the following 3 months, we continued to speak on the phone and I continued to interrogate her story. I didn't believe she was telling me the truth. Early September, I then booked a flight to Spain after agreeing to go to marriage counseling and both of us seeing our own psychologist. During this time here in Spain, I booked a personal trainer and worked out every day. My weight is down to 76 kilograms with visible muscle gain. I'm no longer the obese motherfucker that she flipped for my employee. Janine was diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder, and it ended up that I had mild narcissistic traits. I knew that there was more and became obsessed with knowing all the details. Janine is extremely regretful and is now in depression. Her psychologist explained that she didn't do it for the sex, but for the constant attention she was getting from her AP. Last week, I finally discovered that March wasn't the only time they met up through Google Map location history, but it was also in April. I could not believe that she did not disclose this to me when I literally begged her to put my mind to rest and tell me everything. She eventually disclosed that when they met in March they just kissed and made out in a coastal car park, but it was April that she gave him oral sex. She claimed that she was so disgusted within herself that she stopped within seconds, and that was the end of the affair. Her affair partner could not understand why she would not have sex. And why the fuck did she come out with him if she wasn't willing to go to his friend's house or hotel to have sex? It was him that pulled out his fucking dick and said, "At least suck this then." I honestly don't know where to go from here. Thank you for reading this far and I'm desperate for advice.